How you folks doing today? This is Andrew Bennett. I am the owner, operator, and chief bottle washer at Insurance That Fits. You can find my website at insurancethatfits.com. Today's presentation is all about Medicare, and it's specifically tailored for people who are just turning 65 or just becoming eligible for Medicare. What we're going to do today is discuss all your options. We're going to discuss some of the premiums, some of the deductibles, and different things you should look for. Now, we'll take deeper dives into some parts of this on later presentations, but for now, we're going to jump in. Okay, so I'm going to go to this next slide. This is a flow chart. You may have seen it in some of the Medicare handbooks. Now, once you can understand this chart, you can understand pretty well your options, because you've got two options. You can go to the right or the left. You can go to traditional Medicare, that's parts A and B. You can get a Part D plan, that's where you get your prescription benefit, and you can get a supplement to fill in the gaps that traditional Medicare has. Okay, we're going to get into each one of those parts. Or you can go to the other side of the chart, and on that other side of the chart you see Medicare Advantage plans. Those are where insurance companies, they have contracts with CMS. CMS is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and they squish together A and B and typically C and create something that's more like a traditional health insurance plan. So that's what we're going to get into and look at. So first off, we are going to look at Part A. Part A is labeled hospital insurance. You can see it covers a few more things than that, but the important thing is that you don't pay for Part A once you get into Medicare. If you think about a paycheck stub, you may have seen a paycheck stub 10 or 15 years ago. I think they're probably all online now. But there was a line item after Social Security and income tax. There was a line item for Medicare, and that was your Part A premium, and you paid it while you were working, so you don't have to pay it anymore. Now there's a deductible for Part A, and that's $13.64, and yes, that is per incident, not an annual deductible. So if you're hospitalized or something, you're going to owe that $13.64. If you're hospitalized with a very long hospital stay, there might be some other charges, but for most hospital stays, this is going to be what you pay per incident though. So if you're hospitalized, then you get out and you have to be re-hospitalized for the same thing within 60 days. You don't have to pay that deductible again, okay? But if it's the 61st day, or if it's for a different reason, you got to pay that deductible again. Okay, there's ways to get out of that, and we are going to talk about those in a minute. Now, Part B is referred to as your medical insurance. This is where most of your charges will be. This is to pay your physician, to pay for diagnostic tests, and to treat you. So that's going to cover things like blood work, MRIs, CT scans, x-rays, all the testing that they need to do, endoscopies, colonoscopies, all that kind of thing falls under Part B. Okay, excuse me. So there is an annual deductible for Part B. It's only $185. Okay, that's not too bad at all. You think about people who have these high deductible health plans where they have $5,000–6,000 deductibles. Well, you've got a $185 deductible with Part B in traditional Medicare. That is smoking good. Okay, and after that it's 80/20, and 80/20 is no slouch. It's pretty darn good. There are some times when the 80/20 isn't quite 80/20. We'll get into those in a little bit. That's when you get hit with excess charges. We'll talk about that coming up. Now, your next thing to do is get a Part D plan. Your Part D plan, that's your drug plan. That's your pharmaceutical benefit. Now, a couple things to keep in mind here. Your Part D plan cannot charge you more based on the drugs you're on. Okay, so if you enroll in some company's drug plan, Part D plan, they charge everybody in the state the same price, regardless of what drugs they're on. Okay? So what you've got to do, you've got to look at their formulary, that is the list of drugs that are covered, and figure out which company covers your drug best and at the pharmacy you want to go to. So that's part of the place I help people. What I do personally, I'll just tell you, I go to medicare.gov. We put in all your prescriptions, your milligrams, how often you take it, whether you prefer to fill that by mail, by your local pharmacy. We put in your local pharmacies, and it'll bring up every drug plan in the state, and we'll rank them in order based on your premium and your out-of-pocket cost. And the one at the top, 99 times out of 100, is the one that you should go with. If it's a plan I represent, hey, that's great. We go, we enroll you, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. If it's not a plan I represent, well, we've got their contact information right there, their 800 number. You can call in and enroll, and that ensures that you're in the best plan for you. Okay? Now, I'll just tell you, the commissions for agents on Part D plans are $5 a month. Doesn't matter what company, the commissions are set, they're $5 a month. I'd rather have you in the right plan than be getting the $5 a month from you. Okay, so that's how I help people find their correct Part D plan. Now, after the Part D plan, you've got to find a supplement. So the supplements, there's another presentation I'll have on those, but those fill in the gaps. The deductible, the Part A deductible, that $1,300 and some odd dollars, or the $185, or the 20%, or the excess charges, Medicare supplements come in and cover those. They come in and can give your Medicare an out-of-pocket maximum, depending on which one you choose. And there's a bunch of them, so we'll look at that later. But that's what a Medicare supplement does. It comes in and covers the things that Medicare doesn't. Now back to this chart. That was Part A, B, the drug plan and Medicare supplement, versus the Medicare Advantage plan is on the next slide. Now I tell people it's kind of like the Advantage plan is the value meal. Okay, you got your hamburger, you got your medium fries, your medium Coke. But it is what it is. It's the value meal. Over with traditional Medicare and a Part D plan and a supplement, you get to customize. You could say, well, I want the hamburger, but I want a large fry, but I don't want to drink too many calories, so I want a small Coke. Okay, you get to pick and choose what you want. It's kind of like ordering a la carte. Okay, so the Advantage plans, let's look and see what an Advantage plan is. Again, they group them together. Here, your medical bills are going to be paid by the insurance company, not by Medicare. Okay, so you'll have little co-pays for most everything. You go to the doctor, it's a copay. You get blood work, it's a copay. You go to the ER, it's a copay. Now, most of the time, all these copays are very, very reasonable. Okay, but there are times when you're going to have something bigger happen to you, and you've got to watch for the out-of-pocket maximums. The average out-of-pocket maximum for an Advantage plan, this is nationwide statistic, you don't have to write this down, is around $5,500. Okay, the legal limit approaches $7,000. There are some plans that are have lower out-of-pocket maximums in the $3,500 range that I've seen. Okay, so it just depends on what you're choosing and how much you want to pay. The more you pay in premium, the less you pay in out-of-pocket cost. The less you pay in premium, the more you pay in out-of-pocket cost. It's that simple, really. Okay, so when should you go with an Advantage plan, and when should you go with a supplement? That is the question that everybody wants to know. So let me tell you the story of two retirements. Client number one retired and had very little income. They basically were just living off of Social Security, but unfortunately their husband had died, and there had been a life insurance policy in place, so they had several $100,000 sitting in the bank. Okay, so they couldn't afford much premium, but they could afford to have some out of pocket. So for them, an Advantage plan that has a lower premium was fit their budget better, because they had low income, but they had savings to rely on when bad things happened to them health-wise and they hit those higher out-of-pocket maximums. The very next day, I meet with client number two. Client number two is in the opposite situation. They've got Social Security, they've got an annuity, they've got a pension, they've got plenty of income. What they don't have is savings. So they can't afford unexpected out-of-pocket costs. So what do? They get traditional Medicare and a supplement that covers most everything, so they have very little out-of-pocket costs at all, and they can afford that all through the retirement because they've got pretty reasonable income. Now there's all sorts of different options. But those are kind of some of the things to think about. I tell people think of it as a financial decision, not based on your health. Even if you have good health now, let's face it, all through the course of retirement, that's not always going to be the case. So most of us are not going to be in the same shape at 85 that we are at 65. So you need to keep that in mind. You've got to be able to afford it long term. It's a financial decision. All right. Now, finally, I want to touch on this. People ask me all the time, okay, well, what if I start out over here on the Advantage plan where it's less expensive? Because right now I'm healthy, right? And then whenever I start needing more health care, then I can go back to traditional Medicare and get a supplement, right? Isn't that right? Can't I do that? Maybe not. The supplement, okay, down at the bottom, that is not guaranteed issue all the time. And what guaranteed issue is when they cannot ask you health questions. Here, when you're turning 65, you're guaranteed issue. I tell people you could be a one-legged diabetic with a heart transplant and they can't even ask, okay? 4 months down the road, they can ask and they do ask, and they do not have to give you a supplement. Okay, so if you think you're going to start with Medicare Advantage and go back to traditional Medicare and get a supplement after you get sick, maybe not. Now, different companies ask different questions. One company might say, have you ever had a heart attack? Okay, if you've ever had a heart attack, that rules you out. Another company might say, have you had a heart attack in the last 2 years? That's a very different question. Because if your heart attack was 25 months ago, you get to answer no. All right? And different companies, the companies that allow more and more different health conditions, those are going to have higher and higher premiums. So if you want a supplement and you want to get the best price possible, you want to look at which supplement you get, you want a competitive initial price, and you want to look at that company's history of price increases. Okay? But you need to get what you want up front. This idea of moving back and forth, it is possible, it does happen, but it becomes harder and harder as your health deteriorates. Now, in my next presentations coming up, we'll talk about Medicare supplements in a deeper dive, and Medicare Advantage plans in more detail, and some different things to look at. But for now, this has been kind of an overview of traditional Medicare for those people turning 65. If you'd like to call me, just go to my website. That is at insurancethatfits.com. The .com's not on that slide, but it's insurancethatfits.com. Or you can call me at 865-712-5711. Again, 865-712-5711, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.